கவலை இல்லாம கலர் பிரிண்ட் பண்ணுங்க, அதுவும் மிக குறைஞ்ச விலையில. எப்சன் ஈகோ டேங்க் பிரிண்டர்ஸ். இது வெறும் ஃபேபுலஸ் இல்ல, இது டோட்டலி பிரிண்டபிளஸ்.
Impressed one and all, and particularly he became one of the most popular judges amongst the juniors like us. Shortly thereafter, in 2003, I was elevated, and again he came back to Nagpur as a senior judge. Thereafter, we had good time, as Justice Nath has pointed out about Allahabad. We had a good time at Nagpur. After some years, I shifted to Aurangabad. He came there as a senior judge, and we were together almost for a period of 3 months. And again, we spent a very good time. Thereafter, I shifted to Mumbai, and he was already a permanent judge at Mumbai. And we had, I used to have had the pleasure of visiting his house. Now that house is no more there. A beautiful landscape building, it is now erased, and multi-stories coming there. And we used to spend evenings with him. Babiji had a very full store of fish and prawns in her. And we used to relish that, because I think he was one of the judges who used to go to Sasun Dock once in a week to replenish his stock. Unfortunately, I could not get to sit with him for a long. When we were in Aurangabad, one of his partners went on leave, and for 4 days I got an opportunity to sit with him. Though I had no opportunity to sit with him as a junior judge, I was always impressed with his vision of law, his judgments, and he was a role model for junior judges like us. His profound knowledge of law, his in-depth understanding of the problems of the common man, his ability to apply the Constitution and the laws to find out real justice to the citizens of this country are really very rare. And as I said at my felicitation in Panji a couple of months back, that he was truly a person who deserved to come to the Supreme Court. However, by not going to the Supreme Court, he did not lose anything. It was the Supreme Court and the Indian judiciary who missed him. I think by not coming here for those 3 years, he has built up large reserves, and immediately after retirement, when he started arbitration, he received a distinction of being the most sought after arbitrator, and people used to wait for his calendar so that they could accommodate their matters before him. It's a great honor and privilege for me to release his work on our rights, essays on law, justice and constitution. As Justice Vikamnath just now said, that even after retirement, the judges are active, and now Justice Rebello, after spending more than a decade on building the reserves in arbitration, is now devoted his time to give back to the society what he has experienced in more than half a century of his journey as a lawyer and as a judge. The book is a rich collection of vivid experiences that he had as a lawyer, as his brief stint in the legislature, an activist, a professor of law, and a judge. His book starts with a chapter about the rights of the adopted children. I'm really happy that when he mentioned in the beginning that his judgment on adoption, he had sent a copy of the judgment in 1999 to the Prime Minister, and within 2 years it saw an enactment being enacted on the basis of the said judgment. And therefore, what a judicial activism can lead to is his judgment on adoption of his judgment on the rights of the adopted children is really a remarkable piece. He has written on a variety of topics. I have just now referred to the judicial activism. But at the same time, like I share with you, that judicial activism is bound to remain in the country wherever the legislature or the executive, they fail to safeguard the rights of the citizens. The constitutional courts of the country, be the High Courts or the Supreme Court, are required to step in. But at the same time, the judicial activism should not turn into judicial adventurism or judicial terrorism. A limit within which the judges should resort to judicial activism, I think he has very vividly explained. He has also addressed elaborately on the development of the fundamental rights post Maneka Gandhi. In Maneka Gandhi, the decision was restricted to the travel of the petitioners therein to the country outside India. However, for the first time, the Supreme Court held that the fundamental rights are not only those rights which are enumerated in Part 3, but anything evolving from the trinity of Article 14, Article 19 and 21 would constitute a fundamental right. And his work on explaining and the fundamental rights which have been delineated by judicial interpretation would be really a masterpiece for the students of law. He has also addressed about how the law and the constitution have paved a way for a country like India, which is a country of diversity, to be united. As Dr. Ambedkar in his speech on 4th of November 1948, when he was criticized that the Constitution is too much tilted towards a unitary state, and on the other hand, is being too much federalist, had answered that criticism that our Constitution is neither fully federal, neither fully unitary. It's a mix of both the systems. But one thing that I can assure you is that we are giving a constitution to the country which will keep the country united and strong in the times of peace and war. And we find that what he had said 75 years back has truly lived up to the day. He has also spoken about the human rights, the subject which is very close to his heart. And he said that human rights cannot be restricted. I would like to quote from him his chapter on human rights, and I quote, "Understanding and amplifying the concepts of human rights cannot be the exclusive domain of lawyers and judges. Human rights can best be protected and the rights enjoyed when the meaning of human rights is spread to all the sections of society. Rights of all sections of society are involved in the process, given that such rights required balancing of competing and conflicting interests of the values." His emphasis on competing and conflicting interests reflect his nuanced understanding of rights jurisprudence. Rights as he looks at them are not abstract ideals, but the living guarantees that must be negotiated in the context of real social tensions. Justice Rebello does not feel shy of addressing the contemporary challenges the judiciary is facing today. And he observes that with very frankness and straightness, and I quote, "We must painfully admit that the legal system now suffers from several ills. The foremost among them are the long delays, docket explosion, mounting arrears, and great expense. These ills are having a very deleterious effect on the administration of justice. Unless early corrective action is taken, the credibility of the very system will be at a stake. The judiciary derives its power and prestige solely from the public confidence it enjoys. The same very much depends on its independence, impartiality, and integrity. It should be the concern of all judges as well as lawyers, to see that this foundation on which credibility of the judicial system rests is not eroded." I unquote. These words capture not only his diagnostic clarity, but also his commitment to the institutional honesty and integrity. Justice Rebello has also elaborately written on the affirmative action, the jurisprudence evolving the affirmative action in the country, right from the cases of Balaji and Devdasan up to the last judgment on the issue to which Justice Vikram Nath, me and Justice Pankaj Mittal are a party. As a matter of fact, when he spoke about this book to me about a couple of months back, he has a distinct style of calling me. He begins with "Arey Bhushan." So I received a call from him. "Yes sir." He said, "Arey Bhushan, वो मैं किताब लिख रहा हूँ, सब उसमें मेरे जो स्पीचेज और इश्यूज है उसका कंपाइलेशन है, और तेरा वो अभी वो क्रीमी लेयर का जजमेंट है उसके बारे में भी मैं लिख रहा हूँ." And he said कि I am agreeing with your view on subclassification, but I am criticizing your view on the concept of creamy layer for scheduled caste. I said to him, "Sir, you are most welcome. I believe in a dialogue. As a Chief Justice, I have been presided 3 Constitution Bench judgments. 1 judgment is delivered and 2 will be delivered within a couple of days. But I don't believe in first writing the judgments and giving it to the colleagues for their comments. Immediately after the Constitution benches were over, all of us sat together, discussed, and wherever there were some creases to be ironed out, we sat again and sought to iron out the creases. And therefore, it is a dialogue, it is an interaction which develops the law. As we see that many of the recents of 70s have now become the judgments of majority. But I have never I completed 22 years of judgeship on the 14th of this month, and within a week will be on the other side of the bench. I have never persuaded any of my colleagues to accept my view. We have deliberated at times, Justice Vikram Nath would agree with that. We had a disagreement over one matter, and that disagreement went on for at least 2 or 3 months. Incidentally, for 2 weeks he had gone abroad to meet his son and daughter-in-law. I thought that matter would come up before me. But then I was not the Chief Justice, so I did not have that power. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that matter did not come. And after that matter was listed, after he came, and then when it was called out, I said, I am not speaking anything. You decide what is to be done. He was kind enough to agree with me. And therefore, I am of the view that a judge should never be too sticky to his view. A judge should not feel that once he has decided in a particular way, he is right and there can't be correction. As a judge of the High Court, I have held my at least 2 judgments, reported judgments, to be per incuriam. Because to err is a human, and you can only correct yourself if you are open to the criticism or open to seeing the other side of the matter. Justice Rivello and Mrs. Rivello, apart from Justice Rivello, a great human, a great jurist, and Mrs. Rivello, a great companion to him, a great host, are also great human beings. I have personally had a relationship with him spanning for more than 22 years. And in my last 6 years as a judge of the Supreme Court, 6.5 years, I have been to Allahabad, within the jurisdiction of Allahabad High Court, to various places in the Uttar Pradesh. And wherever I went, the judicial officers, after coming to know that I also belong to Bombay High Court, they always used to say that they used to always praise Justice Rivello and Mrs. Rivello as one of the best Chief Justices they had. In fact, in the recent past, we have given 3 Chief Justices to Allahabad High Court. 2 of them are fondly remembered by the judges as well as the trial judges of the UP judiciary. This book, the great work of Justice Rivello, is handed over to us when we have completed the journey of 75 years of our Constitution, and will be completing the Amrut Mahotsav of our Constitution on 26th of January 2025. As I always say that one should always be pragmatic. And I say that in the last 75 years, the legislature, the parliament, the executive, and the judiciary have always worked in a pragmatic manner. Our Constitution is wedded to the ideas of justice, social, economic, and political, which values are also close to the heart of Justice Rivello. Post 1973, after the Keshavanand Bharati case, the equitable balance of fundamental rights and directive principles and burying of the past dispute between fundamental rights and directive principles have paved the way of the Indian Constitution journey towards the social and economic justice. As Dr. Ambedkar said in his speech on 25th of November 1949, that political justice is of no use unless the social and economic justice underlies beneath it. All the institutions of the Constitution, all the wings of the Constitution, the executive, the judiciary and the parliament, are bound to take further the goal of political, social and economic justice. The insightful work of Justice Rivello, he has observed about, even after the 75 years of Constitution, still the gender inequality exists. Still we have a caste system in some states. Even after 75 years of the Constitution, the caste discrimination in some area still exists. I am sure that this book, which will be a treasure for judges, lawyers, and students of law like me, and will act as a guiding role in helping all of us to pave to walk towards our journey of social and economic equality along the political justice. I congratulate Justice Rebello on this occasion for getting this momentous work to us. I'm sure that he has many years to contribute to the society. I wish him and Madam Rebello and his family a very healthy, happy life and continued contribution to the society in future. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.